The small town was quiet as the sun began to sink behind the hills. Shadows grew longer across the streets, and shopkeepers flipped their signs from open to closed. Most people hurried home, eager for dinner, eager to rest after a long day. But in front of an old diner, something unusual caught every eye. There was a woman standing alone beneath a help wanted sign. She had been there since morning, unmoving, patient and strange. At first, people thought she was waiting for someone. But as the hours passed, curiosity turned into whispers, and whispers turned into unease. Her clothes were simple but not quite right, as if someone had copied human fashion but missed the small details. Her long coat looked stitched from a fabric no one could name, and her shoes were smooth without laces. Her hair fell like silver threads, catching the light in ways no human hair ever could. And her eyes, oh her eyes, and they glowed faintly, not bright enough to shout alien, but enough to make people turn away quickly. Children pulled at their mother's hands, asking questions. "Why is that lady just standing there?" one asked. "Don't stare, keep walking," the mother whispered. Her voice nervous, men at the gas station joked about her, but none dared to approach. Even the sheriff slowed his car, looked once, and then kept driving. No one wanted to be the one who found out what she was. All day she stood beneath the diner sign, hands folded, gaze calm. She did not ask for food. She did not ask for help. She only looked at every human who passed by, her face unreadable. It was as if she was waiting for something, or someone. Her silence was heavier than words. It pressed on the town like a secret no one wanted to touch. By evening, the neon sign of the diner flickered to life, buzzing red and blue. The smell of fried food drifted out as the waitress inside closed the blinds. Still, the strange woman stood there, still waiting, still watching. That was when a young man noticed her again. His name was Daniel, a mechanic who worked late fixing cars at his uncle's garage. He had seen her in the morning on his way to work, and now, after the long day, she was still there. Something inside him stirred, not fear, but curiosity. Most people avoided the strange, but Daniel had never been like most people. He parked his truck across the street and leaned on the door. For a moment he studied her. The glow in her eyes seemed brighter in the evening light. Her face was calm, too calm for someone ignored by the entire town. She wasn't lost, she wasn't begging. She wasn't asking, she was waiting, but for what? Daniel's mind raced with questions. Why here, of all places? Why all day without food or water? And why under a sign that said, "Help Wanted"? It almost felt like a message, as if she wanted a human to notice. The air grew cooler and the town grew quieter. Streetlights blinked awake, stretching shadows across the road. The sound of a dog barking echoed, and then silence returned. Still she stood there, still waiting. Daniel crossed the street slowly, his boots crunching on gravel. Every step felt louder than it should. When he stopped in front of her, she tilted her head slightly. Her glowing eyes fixed on him, she didn't speak. But her silence felt like an invitation. You okay, miss?" Daniel asked. His voice steady but curious. She blinked once, slowly, as if the question had traveled a long way to reach her mind. "I am waiting," she said, her words careful, her accent strange. "Waiting for what?" Daniel asked. "For a human," she answered, simple as the night sky above. The words sent a chill down his back. Not because they were threatening, but because they were honest, too honest, a human. Out of all the people in town, why him, why now? He glanced around. But the street was empty. No one else wanted to be near her. No one else wanted to hear her speak. Daniel took a breath, his heart pounding. Why do you need a human?" he asked. She looked at him with those glowing eyes, her lips curved in the smallest, softest smile, and then she whispered, "Because only a human can take me home." The night grew colder, and a sharp wind rattled the diner's sign. Somewhere far off, thunder rolled like a warning. But Daniel did not move, and the alien woman did not break her gaze. In that moment, the town around them disappeared, and the story that would change everything had just begun. Daniel stood frozen in the cold night air. The woman's words echoed in his mind again and again. "Because only a human can take me home," she had said. Not shouted, not begged, just spoken with calm certainty. Every part of him wanted to walk away. He could pretend he never heard her strange answer. He could climb back into his truck, drive home, and forget she ever existed. But Daniel wasn't built like that all his life. He had been the one to stop when others walked past, the one to ask questions no one else dared to ask. And now, facing this mysterious woman, that old habit returned stronger than ever. He cleared his throat, shifting awkwardly. "Home," he said slowly. "Where exactly is home?" The woman tilted her head as if searching for the right word. Then she lifted one hand and pointed toward the dark sky. Not north, not south, not anywhere on earth, but up. Daniel's stomach tightened. Was she joking? Or was she telling the truth? "Listen," he said carefully, If you're lost, I can call someone, maybe the sheriff." But her glowing eyes softened, almost sad. "No," she whispered. "The sheriff cannot help me. No human of authority can, only one who chooses, only one who sees me." The word struck him deeper than he expected. She wasn't looking for power or money or protection. She was looking for someone willing to see her as more than strange. And somehow in the whole town that person had turned out to be him. Daniel rubbed the back of his neck. He glanced at the diner. Its lights now dim behind drawn blinds. The whole street was empty, everyone hiding. Everyone pretending not to see the woman, and here he was, standing face to face with the only person who dared to speak. He sighed, shaking his head. "Well, I guess you picked me," he muttered. "So what now?" The woman blinked, her glowing eyes reflecting the neon sign. "You take me home," she said again, her tone patient. All right, Daniel replied, "but let's start simple. Do you even have a name?" She paused, her lips forming shapes as if she was tasting the word before speaking it. "You may call me Lyra," she said. The name rolled off her tongue like music. "Strange but beautiful." Daniel nodded slowly. "Okay, Lyra. Look, I don't know what you are, or where you really came from, but standing under a diner sign all day isn't gonna get you anywhere. You'll freeze out here." Lyra's face remained calm, but her eyes flickered with something, relief. "Maybe, or hope. You will not leave me," she said. Her voice soft. Daniel frowned. "I didn't say that, but come on, at least sit in the truck, it's warmer there." She followed him silently, her movements graceful yet strange. Her feet made no sound on the gravel, as if the earth itself chose not to notice her steps. Daniel unlocked the truck and gestured for her to climb in. She touched the door carefully, almost reverently, before sliding into the passenger seat. Her silver hair caught the faint glow of the dashboard light, and for the first time, Daniel noticed a small scar running down the side of her neck. It wasn't a cut. It looked more like circuitry etched into her skin, faint and glowing. He swallowed hard and tried not to stare. As he turned the key, the engine rumbled to life. Lyra's eyes widened at the sound, as if she was listening to more than just noise. "This machine, it has a heartbeat," she murmured. Daniel gave her a puzzled look. "It's just an engine." But she shook her head slowly. "Everything, living or not, has a rhythm. Humans do not see it. But I hear it." He drove down the empty street, the headlights cutting through the dark. Neither spoke for a moment, the silence filled only by the hum of the truck. Finally, Daniel asked, "So, what exactly are you?" Lyra turned her glowing eyes toward him. "I am not from here," she said simply. "I am from beyond the sky, you see." Daniel forced a laugh. "Yeah, I figured that much, but why wait under a sign like that all day?" "Why me?" She leaned closer, her voice a whisper. "Because I needed a human who would not look away. You looked at me in the morning. When all others turned their eyes, that is why I waited. For you." The honesty in her tone made his chest tighten. It wasn't flattery, it wasn't manipulation, it was truth. He felt a weight settle on his shoulders, heavier than any engine he had ever lifted in the garage. This woman, this alien, had chosen him for something he didn't understand. And now he was driving her away from the only place anyone had seen her. As they passed the last streetlight of town, darkness stretched ahead like an ocean. Daniel gripped the wheel tighter. Some part of him screamed to turn back, to leave her on the roadside, to pretend this night never happened. But another part, louder and stronger, whispered that if he left her now, he would regret it for the rest of his life. Lyra sat quietly beside him, her eyes fixed on the stars above. For the first time all day, she no longer looked like she was waiting. She looked like she was moving toward something. And Daniel, whether ready or not, was moving with her. He exhaled slowly. The decision already made. "All right, Lyra," he muttered. "You've got your human. Let's see where this goes." The truck rolled deeper into the night, neither of them knowing that this small choice, this single act of curiosity, would soon open doors to dangers, secrets, and a destiny larger than either could imagine. The truck rolled down the empty highway, headlights cutting a narrow path through the night. Daniel kept his hands steady on the wheel, though his thoughts twisted like tangled wires. Beside him, Lyra sat silently, her silver hair reflecting the glow from the dashboard. She stared out the window, her eyes fixed not on the road but on the endless stars beyond. Daniel cleared his throat, his voice low. "You're really not from here, are you?" Lyra did not look at him, but her answer came softly. "No, I am not from this world." The words sent a shiver through him, even though he had already guessed. Hearing her admit it made it real. He forced a chuckle, though it sounded hollow in the dark cab. "All right. Then what are you?" She finally turned her gaze toward him, her glowing eyes catching his. "I am a traveler," she said slowly. "My people crossed the stars, but I was left behind, stranded." Broken, her voice carried no anger, only sadness. Daniel frowned. "Stranded? Like your ship crashed?" Lyra nodded once, the faint circuitry scar on her neck glimmering as she moved. "Yes, many years ago I hid among humans. I learned your words, your ways, but I could never return. Until now." Her words sent sparks of questions racing through Daniel's mind. He wanted to ask everything at once, and how old she was, what her people were like, why she chose him. But his tongue stuck to the simplest thought. "Why now?" he asked, his eyes flicking between the road and her calm face. Lyra leaned back, her hands resting neatly on her lap. "Because time runs out. Because my mission cannot sleep any longer. And because I need a human." The last part made Daniel grip the steering wheel tighter. "You keep saying that. Why a human? Why me?" Lyra's lips curved into the smallest of smiles, as if she expected the question. "You are not machines. You are not built of circuits or wires, but you carry something no other species carries. Something we cannot create. We call it resonance." Daniel blinked. "Resonance. Like sound. Like spirit," she corrected gently. "It is what allows humans to bond, to feel, to create meaning from nothing. It is the one thing our machines cannot copy." Daniel let the words hang in the air. Resonance. Spirit, and whatever she called it, it sounded almost mystical. He had never thought of himself as special, just a mechanic fixing broken engines in a quiet town. And now here was an alien telling him he carried something her people needed. He laughed nervously. "You're saying, out of all the humans, I've got this." Resonance, Lyra's eyes softened. "Not only you, many humans have it, but few show it. Fewer still notice the lonely one waiting. You saw me. You chose not to walk away. That is resonance." Her words stung more than he expected. He remembered how everyone else avoided her all day. Pretending she wasn't there, it was true. He had looked, he had cared. But was that enough to make him what she claimed? The road stretched on, a ribbon of asphalt under the pale moonlight. Daniel finally sighed. "All right. Suppose I believe you. What exactly do you need me for?" Lyra's gaze grew serious, almost heavy. "My ship still rests where it fell. Hidden, silent, its heart sealed. It will not awaken for me. It will not respond to my touch. Only a human with resonance can open it. Only you." Daniel nearly slammed the brakes, his heart thundering. "Wait, you're saying I can open some alien spaceship like turning a key?" "Yes," Lyra whispered. "You are the key." The words were too much, too fast. He shook his head, trying to laugh it off. But the laugh never came. Instead, he felt the chill of truth sink into his bones. If she was lying, she was the best liar he had ever met. If she was telling the truth, then his life had just changed forever. The truck rumbled over a small bridge, water glinting below. Lyra leaned closer, her voice almost urgent now. "There are others who search for me. Others who would use my ship for power. They will not stop, they will come, but with you. I can leave this world, I can complete my mission." Daniel's knuckles whitened on the wheel. So not only was she real, not only did she need him, but now he was tangled in something dangerous, something bigger than the whole town, bigger than anything he had ever known. He glanced at her, his jaw tight. "You keep saying mission. What kind of mission are we talking about?" Lyra's glowing eyes met his. "One that will decide more than just my life. One that may decide the future of many worlds." The words pressed on Daniel like a weight he could not lift. He wanted to argue, wanted to tell her she had the wrong guy. But deep inside he felt a strange pull. Not fear, not duty, but something else. The same curiosity that made him stop when everyone else looked away. The same resonance she spoke of echoing inside his chest. The truck finally pulled into the gravel driveway of his house. The porch light flickered, casting shadows across the yard. Daniel killed the engine, the rumble fading into silence. For a moment, they both sat there. Neither moving, Lyra broke the silence first, her voice soft as the night. "This is where the truth begins, Daniel." He swallowed hard, staring at the quiet house that had always been his safe place. Now it would become something else. A doorway, a beginning, a secret no one could imagine. He stepped out of the truck, the gravel crunching under his boots. Lyra followed, silent as ever, her silver hair glowing faintly in the porch light. And though Daniel did not fully understand, he knew one thing with certainty. Nothing in his life would ever be normal again. Daniel pushed open the front door of his house, the hinges creaking softly in the quiet night. He had brought strangers home before, lost travelers, old friends, even stray animals on stormy nights, but never an alien woman who claimed he was the key to unlocking a ship from beyond the stars. The weight of that thought pressed on him as he let Lyra step inside. She paused at the threshold, her glowing eyes sweeping across the small living room. There was nothing special about the place. A sagging couch, shelves cluttered with tools and old magazines. The faint smell of oil from his jacket hung on a chair, yet Lyra touched the wall gently, almost reverently, as if the house itself were sacred. This place. "It is warm," she whispered. Daniel blinked. "It's just a house," Lyra shook her head. "To you, maybe. To me it is proof of what I seek. The strength of humans lies not in machines, but in the homes they build, the bonds they protect." Daniel sank into the couch. Rubbing his temples, his life had been simple that morning, and now it was tangled in mysteries he couldn't unravel. He looked at her, her silver hair catching the dim yellow light of the lamp. "All right," he said finally. "You've told me pieces, but now I need the whole truth. What is this mission of yours?" Lyra lowered herself into the chair opposite him, her movements graceful yet deliberate. For the first time, her calm expression faltered, and a shadow crossed her face. "My people sent me here to prepare," she said softly. "We explore new worlds, but Earth was not chosen at random. It was chosen because of you, because of humans." Daniel's brows furrowed. "Chosen for what?" Lyra's glowing eyes locked on his. "To test a bond, to see if your kind could connect with what our kind could not. Our ships, our machines, our very lifelines. They respond only to resonance. The spirit humans carry without knowing it." He leaned forward, his hands tightening on his knees. "You're saying your whole technology, your ships, they need humans to work." Lyra nodded slowly. "Not all, but the core, the heart of it, the living engine. It sleeps without resonance, and only a human touch can wake it." The words sat heavy in the air. Daniel's heart raced, but he tried to mask it with a smirk. "So what? You've been waiting under that diner sign all day, hoping some random guy would walk up and, what? Unlock your spaceship like a car door?" Lyra's lips curved in the faintest smile, but her eyes remained serious. "Not random, chosen. Resonance is not common. But I felt it the moment you looked at me this morning. You did not turn away." Daniel's throat went dry. He wanted to argue, to laugh, to deny it all, but deep inside, he knew she was right. He had seen her when no one else dared to. That choice, that moment of curiosity, had tied him to her fate. Lyra continued, her voice low but steady. "My ship lies hidden beyond the hills, buried where it fell years ago, its core sealed. I tried for decades, but it will not answer me. It waits for a human. It waits for you." Daniel's chest tightened. Her words painted a picture he couldn't ignore. A sleeping ship, alive in ways no human machine could ever be, waiting like a locked heart for the right key, and he, of all people, was the key. But then another thought cut through his wonder. If that's true, if you've been here for years, then why hasn't anyone else found you? Why hasn't the government or somebody? Lyra's expression darkened, and for the first time, her calm voice trembled. "They tried, Daniel. They hunted me. They will hunt me again. There are forces among your kind who want what my ship holds. They believe power is greater than resonance. They will not stop until they take it." Daniel's stomach turned. The memory of the black cars he had seen parked outside the diner flickering in his mind. He hadn't thought much of it then, but now, the pieces fit together too neatly. "They were watching you," he whispered. Lyra nodded. "Yes, and soon they will come. That is why I had to choose tonight. That is why I had to choose you." The room grew heavy with silence. Daniel rubbed his face with both hands, trying to breathe through the storm of thoughts. This wasn't just curiosity anymore, this was danger, real danger, and yet, sitting across from him, Lyra did not look like a threat. Finally, he asked the question that burned in his chest. What happens if I say no? Lyra's glowing eyes softened, but her answer was sharp as steel. Then my mission dies here, my ship will remain asleep, and the ones who hunt me will find it and use it. Your world will become their battlefield, and billions may suffer. Daniel's breath caught in his throat. It was no longer about him. No longer about curiosity or kindness. It was about survival. About protecting more than just a quiet town. It was about humans, all of them. Lyra leaned forward now, her voice a whisper but filled with fire. Daniel, humans are more than they believe. Your spirit is not weakness, it is power. It is what makes you special. It is what makes you feared. That is why they chose your world. That is why I need you. The clock on the wall ticked softly, each sound louder in the silence. Daniel looked at her, at the faint glow of her veins, at the strange scar on her neck, at the honesty in her eyes. Every instinct screamed that his life was about to change in ways he couldn't imagine. And yet, deep inside, he already knew his answer. He exhaled slowly, his voice low. All right, Lyra, show me where this ship of yours is. Her eyes lit with something brighter than glow, hope. And in that moment, the mission truly began. The night outside Daniel's house was still, but inside the air was heavy with Lyra's words. She had told him about the ship, about resonance, about the danger that followed her. Daniel wanted to believe it was all too strange to be real. But deep inside, he knew it was real, and he knew trouble would not wait long before finding them. Lyra sat quietly near the window, her glowing eyes scanning the shadows beyond the yard. Her posture was calm, but there was tension in her shoulders, a readiness that Daniel had only seen in soldiers. He moved around the room nervously, pulling the curtains tighter, checking the locks, though he knew such things wouldn't stop whoever was after her. Finally, he stopped and faced her. You keep saying they'll come, but who exactly are they? He asked. Lyra turned her gaze from the window to him, her voice soft but steady. Humans who serve power, not resonance. They know what my ship carries, and they will kill to control it. Daniel swallowed hard. Government agents, mercenaries, some secret organization, whatever name they had. They sounded unstoppable, and now, because he chose to help her, they would come for him too. Before he could speak again, Lyra stiffened. Her glowing veins pulsed faintly, her head tilting as if listening to something far away. They are near, she whispered. Daniel's heart thumped hard against his ribs. What already? Lyra nodded slowly. Engines, 3 of them heavy. Coming fast. Daniel rushed to the window and peeked through the blinds. Down the empty road, 3 black SUVs rolled in silence, their headlights off, their engines a low growl that vibrated through the night. They stopped just beyond his driveway, their dark shapes menacing in the moonlight. His stomach turned. Damn it. You were right. The vehicle's doors opened in unison and men in dark suits stepped out. Their movements were precise, controlled, the kind of discipline that came from years of training. Each one carried weapons hidden beneath their coats. Daniel could feel their eyes scanning the house even from this distance. Lyra stood, her silver hair glinting in the faint light. Her calmness unsettled him, as if she had prepared for this moment for years. They will come inside, she said, her voice almost sad. They always do. Daniel spun around. Panic rising. You're just gonna sit there. We can't fight them. Lyra's eyes glowed brighter now, a faint hum filling the room. I cannot fight them, but I can protect you. If you choose to stay, his chest tightened. Protect him how, he wanted to ask. But before the words left his lips, heavy footsteps crunched on the gravel outside. A loud knock shook the front door, followed by a deep voice. Open up, Mr. Daniel. This is official business. Step aside and no one gets hurt. Daniel froze. His breath caught in his throat. They knew his name. They knew he was inside. This wasn't a random search. They had been watching him the whole time. Lyra placed a hand on his arm, her touch strangely warm. You must decide now, she whispered. Give me to them and they will leave you, keep me. And they will hunt us both. The knock came again, louder this time, the voice sharper. Open the door now, Daniel's mind spun. His choices clear but unbearable. He could hand her over, save himself, pretend none of this ever happened, or he could stand with her, against men who could crush him with a single order. His hands shook, but his voice came out steady. I'm not giving you up, he muttered. Lyra's eyes softened. her faint smile holding both gratitude and sorrow. "Then you are ready," she whispered. The front door burst open with a crash, splinters flying across the room. The men stormed in, weapons raised, their faces cold and unfeeling. "Step away from her, Daniel," the leader barked, his voice like iron. Daniel's legs trembled, but he stood his ground, placing himself between them and Lyra. "She's not going anywhere with you," he said, his voice cracking but firm. The men exchanged quick glances, their leader narrowing his eyes. "You don't understand what she is. She's dangerous. You're risking your life for nothing." But Daniel shook his head. "No, I understand enough. I know she's not your prisoner." The men raised their weapons, and Daniel's heart hammered in his chest. He thought it was the end, but then the room filled with light. Lyra stepped forward, her veins glowing brighter than ever, her body humming with strange energy. The men hesitated, their guns shaking as a force pressed against them, invisible but powerful. One by one, they staggered back, unable to move closer. Daniel's eyes widened. What are you doing?" Lyra's voice came like a calm wave. "Not fighting, only holding them back. But I cannot keep this long. We must go." Daniel nodded quickly, his instincts kicking in. He grabbed his jacket, his keys, and together they darted through the back door. The cold night air hit his face as they ran across the yard, the sound of shouting and boots crashing behind them. Lyra's glow lit the path ahead, guiding him through the dark. They reached his truck, Daniel fumbling with the keys, his hands slick with sweat. The engine roared to life just as the men burst from the house. Bullets cracked through the air, sparks flying as they struck metal. Daniel slammed the gas pedal, the truck lurching forward into the night. Beside him, Lyra sat silent, her glow fading as she leaned against the seat. Daniel glanced at her, his breath ragged. "You all right?" Her voice was weak but steady. "Yes, but they will not stop." Now the danger truly begins. Daniel tightened his grip on the wheel, the road stretching endlessly before them. His life had been simple once, but now he was running from men with guns, with an alien woman beside him, and yet deep inside he felt no regret. He had made his choice. He would not hand her over. No matter the danger that followed, the truck thundered down the lonely highway, its tires biting the asphalt as if chased by shadows. Daniel's hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly his knuckles turned white. His heart still pounded from the gunfire, from the broken door, from the men in black suits who had nearly taken Lyra. Beside him, Lyra leaned back in the passenger seat, her silver hair falling like a curtain across her glowing eyes. She looked calm, but her breathing was shallow, as though holding back a storm inside her. Daniel glanced at her, worry creeping into his voice. "You okay, Lyra? You don't look so good." She turned her head slowly, her faint smile returning. "I use too much energy, Daniel. Holding them back drains me, but I will recover. I always do." Daniel shook his head, muttering under his breath. "Yeah, well, I hope you recover fast. Because I've never been shot at before tonight." Lyra's eyes softened, her voice calm even in chaos. "And yet you chose to stay. That is resonance. That is why you matter." Daniel gave a half laugh, half sigh. "Yeah, well, I don't feel very special right now. I just feel like a guy running for his life." The road stretched endlessly, fields rolling into forests, the headlights slicing through the darkness. After a while, Lyra sat up straighter, her hand brushing against the glove box. Her touch was gentle, but suddenly the radio flickered to life without him pressing a button. Strange static filled the cabin, followed by soft tones almost musical. Daniel's eyes widened. What the hell was that? "I didn't turn it on." Lyra smiled faintly. "It is not radio, Daniel. It is communication. Your machine speaks when resonance is near." Daniel blinked. "You mean, my truck is talking to you?" "Not to me," she corrected softly. "To you it responds because you are here. Because you carry resonance." Daniel let out a low whistle, shaking his head. "Well, that explains why the old engine never quit on me. Maybe it liked me all along." Lyra tilted her head, studying him with glowing eyes. "Humans think machines are only tools, but some listen, some wait. You bring them life without knowing it." The thought unsettled him, but also sparked curiosity deep in his chest. He had always felt a strange connection to machines, a way of fixing them when no one else could. Now Lyra was telling him that connection wasn't luck. It was something inside him. As the truck pushed deeper into the forest roads, the night grew quieter. No more headlights behind them. No more engines following. Still, Daniel's nerves buzzed. Every shadow on the tree line looking like a threat. Finally, he asked. So where exactly are we going? Lyra pointed ahead, her finger steady. Beyond these woods into the hills, my ship rests there, hidden where it fell long ago. Daniel tightened his grip on the wheel. And what happens when we get there? Do I just touch it and it turns on? Lyra's eyes glimmered. Not so simple, Daniel. The ship is alive. It will test you. It will feel your spirit before it answers. If you are true, it will awaken. If not, it will remain silent forever, Daniel groaned. Great. So no pressure. Lyra placed her hand lightly on his arm, her touch warm despite the night chill. You doubt yourself, but that is human too. It is part of what makes you worthy. For a while, silence filled the truck again, broken only by the hum of the engine. Daniel's mind wandered, tangled with fear and wonder. Part of him wanted to keep driving, to never look back, to forget ships and missions and glowing aliens. But another part of him, the stronger part, burned with curiosity, with the need to see the truth with his own eyes. As dawn's first light crept across the horizon, the road turned rough, the forest giving way to rocky hills. Lyra sat forward, her eyes glowing brighter, her voice soft with reverence. We are close, Daniel. I can feel the heart of my ship. It has waited for this moment. The truck bounced along the dirt path until it stopped at the base of a steep hill. Lyra stepped out first, moving with a grace that made the rough ground seem smooth. Daniel followed, his boots crunching against stones, his breath heavy in the cool morning air. They climbed in silence until they reached a ridge overlooking a hidden valley, and there, beneath the cover of earth and vines, lay a massive shape. Daniel's breath caught, even half-buried. The ship was unlike anything he had ever imagined. Its surface shimmered faintly. Not metal, not stone, but something alive. Lines of soft light pulsed across it like veins, as if the ship itself were breathing in sleep. This is it, Daniel whispered, awe in his voice. Lyra's glowing eyes softened as she gazed at the ship. Yes, my home, my heart, my failure until now. Daniel stepped closer, his hand trembling as he reached out to touch the surface. Before his fingers met it, Lyra's voice stopped him. Not yet, Daniel. The moment you touch it, the test begins. You must be ready. He turned to her, his chest tight, his voice shaking. Ready for what? Lyra looked at him, her face serious, her words slow. For the ship to see your truth, for it to know if you are the human it has waited for. The wind swept through the valley, carrying the sound of rustling leaves and the faint hum of the sleeping ship. Daniel's heart raced, every instinct screaming that once he touched it, nothing would ever be the same again. He clenched his fists, his breath heavy. This was no longer just Lyra's mission. It was his too, and whether he liked it or not, the journey together had only just begun. The hidden valley lay silent, the ship sleeping beneath its blanket of vines and stone. Daniel stood frozen at the edge, his heart pounding as if it already knew what came next. Beside him, Lyra watched with glowing eyes, her voice calm but heavy with meaning. This is the moment, Daniel, once you touch the ship. It will awaken if you are true. Daniel wiped sweat from his forehead, his hands trembling. It was one thing to fix a broken truck, another to test himself against an alien machine that seemed alive. He glanced at Lyra, searching her face for reassurance. Her eyes softened and she whispered, Do not fear. Your spirit is stronger than you know, taking a breath. Daniel stepped forward, his boots crunching against loose rocks. The ship's surface shimmered faintly in the rising light, its pulse like a heartbeat waiting for him. He raised his hand slowly, every second stretching into eternity, and then his palm met the strange surface. At once the valley erupted with light, the ship pulsed brighter, veins of energy spreading outward like rivers of fire. The ground trembled, and the air buzzed with a low hum that shook Daniel's chest. He staggered back, but the surface clung to his hand as though it refused to let him go. Lyra gasped softly, her eyes glowing brighter. It knows you, Daniel, it hears you, she whispered. Daniel gritted his teeth, heat crawling up his arm, his mind filled with flashes of stars, endless and burning. He saw visions of worlds unknown, of battles fought in the silence of space, of machines waiting in darkness for a human touch. The power surged through him, but it did not burn. It embraced as if welcoming him. Then a sharp sound broke the moment. Engines roared in the distance, black SUVs tearing down the dirt roads into the valley. Daniel's head snapped around, his pulse spiking. They found us, he shouted. Lyra's expression hardened. They will not let us leave alive. The men poured out of the vehicles, weapons gleaming in the early light. Their leader shouting orders, "Secure the alien. Kill the boy if he resists." Daniel's stomach twisted, fear clawing at him, but the ship's hum grew louder, almost protective. The surface beneath his hand pulsed again, a wave of energy rippling outward, forcing the men to stagger. Lyra stepped beside him, her silver hair whipping in the wind. "This is the test, Daniel. The ship listens. But it must feel your choice. Will you stand as its protector, or will you let fear silence you?" Daniel clenched his fists. His jaw set. He thought of his town, his simple life, the people who walked past Lyra as if she didn't matter. And then he thought of her words on resonance and spirit, meaning. Maybe he wasn't special because of strength. Maybe he was special because he cared when no one else did. He planted his hand firmly against the ship again. "I'm not giving her up," he growled. "I'm not giving up anyone who needs me." The ship responded instantly, a blinding wave of light bursting from its surface. The attackers were thrown back as if struck by invisible hands. Their weapons useless, their screams drowned by the hum. The ground split as the ship rose, shaking free of dirt and stone, its body unfolding like wings stretching after centuries of sleep. Daniel stumbled back, but the glow from the ship wrapped around him like armor, shielding him from falling debris. Lyra dropped to one knee, her voice filled with awe. "It has chosen, Daniel, it has chosen you." The leader of the men staggered to his feet, his voice hoarse with rage. "This isn't over, boy. You don't know what you've unleashed." But his words were lost as the ship lifted higher, its engines alive with fire. Daniel stood firm, the resonance thrumming in his chest, no longer afraid. Lyra rose and placed her hand gently on his shoulder. "You are more than you believe, Daniel. Humans carry the one thing the galaxy cannot replicate: courage born of compassion, strength born of choice. That is why the ship listens. That is why my people need you." Daniel met her glowing eyes, his voice steady now. "Then let's finish your mission, Lyra. Whatever it is." The ship's ramp unfolded with a hiss, light spilling out like dawn itself. Daniel and Lyra stepped inside, the walls pulsing with life, the core humming in rhythm with his heartbeat. He felt the ship breathe with him, move with him, as though it had been waiting centuries for his arrival. Outside, the men scrambled back to their vehicles, calling for reinforcements, but it was too late. The valley shook as the ship's engines roared, lifting them high above the earth. Daniel stared out the viewport, the world shrinking beneath him, his town, his quiet life, all fading into the distance. Lyra stood beside him, her voice soft but filled with promise. "The galaxy will come for us now. Daniel, they will fear what you are, they will try to break you. But remember this, humans are not weak, humans are not small. They are the key." Daniel exhaled slowly, a fire rising in his chest. "Then let them come," he said, his voice steady as steel. "Let them see what a human can do." The ship surged upward, breaking through the clouds, the first rays of sun catching its silver body. The world below disappeared, and above them stretched the infinite stars. Waiting, watching, calling, for the first time in his life, Daniel felt not small but vast, a single human at the edge of the galaxy's greatest secret, chosen not by power, not by force, but by the simple act of seeing someone others ignored. And now his journey, their journey, had only just begun.